Hi, sixth graders. This is Miss Wells talking. Today we are talking about greatest common factor. So before we dive into what is greatest common factor, I want to first break it down to what is a factor period, okay? So factors might be something that you've heard of in the past, but I want us to take a second to come up with what is a factor. So a factor is a number that divides into another number exactly. Okay, so that means that it has to divide into that number exactly, and there can be no remainder. Another way to remember remainder is that there can be none left over. So after the dividing, there can be none left over. There's no remainder. So now that we know what is a factor, I want to jump down here and I want us to find the factors. So this is similar to what you did in your workshop time today. So we are going to find the factors of the numbers 24 and 60. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to think of all the numbers that you can divide evenly or exactly into 24. So I know that I can divide 24 by 1 because it would be 1 and 24. I know that I can divide 24 by 2. And it would be divided by 12. So it would be 12 times 2 equals 24, or 24 divided by 12 equals 2. I know that 3 can go into 24. 8 can also go into 24. And then 4 and 6. So connect this gap right here. Whoops. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Those are the factors of 24. Now we're going to find the factors of 60. So we're going to say 1 can go into 60, 2 can go in, 3 can go in, 4 can, 5, 6, 10 can go in by multiplying by 6. And then 5 times 12 gives us 60. 4 times 15 gives us 60. 3 times 20. 2 times 30. And then 1 times 60. Okay, so now we have found the factors of the factors of 24 and 60. So I want you to look at these numbers and think, what is the greatest number that these numbers have in common? And that's going to take us to, so what is GCF? Okay, so what is greatest common factor? We know what factors are now. We know how to find factors. What is GCF? Okay, so GCF stands for greatest common factor. Oops, greatest common. Okay, this is the greatest or largest Okay, so another way to remember greatest is that it also means largest. So this is the greatest or largest factor that two numbers have in common. Okay, so if we look back at the 24 and 60 and we found the factors of 24 and of 60, what number is the largest that the two of them have in common? So I'm going to look through them. Well, they have 1 and they have 2 and they have 3 and they have 4. They also have 6, but those aren't the largest numbers that they have in common. If you look over here, you can see that 12 appears both in 24 and 60, and then none of these numbers are in common between the two. Okay, so 12 would be our GCF for 24 and 60. Okay, so in workshop practice today, you are going to find the greatest common factor of two numbers. I want you to start by listing out the factors and then find the greatest factor they have in common. So you're going to do exactly what I showed you right here, just with different numbers. You are going to list out the factors for both numbers, and then I want you to go back and say, okay, what is the greatest number that they have in common? So yes, they have 1 in common, and they also have 4 in common, but they have the 12 in common, which is the greatest number that they have in common. Okay, so if you need help at all today, make sure that you ask. If you are a virtual student, make sure that you send your teacher a message on Canvas or on Microsoft Teams.